I really loved the title when you gave me it's more than a title. It's more than a title. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it really resonated with me. Hello self. And so I want to speak to hello self and the awakening your truth part, because it's actually, to me it feels like the greeting and then a directive, and how the greeting must come before the directive. The intimacy, the welcoming to the self, the moving into the heart is the greeting. And once we get there, what's the directive? It is to awaken the truth. What is the directive? It is to set an intention. And so I am Jill Flowers. And that's my stage name too, and my real name. And I call myself a soul activist, which has taken on different meanings. And today it really means to me to be an activator, to be the activator of truth, to be the activator of one's soul blueprint, one's soul codes. And I use my voice. I use my bowls, which I have. You can't see them, but they're here like this, waiting. Um, and I use the breath to begin to activate what your intention is. So we're going to move into doing some experiential um, stuff. And I'm just going to ask for you to just not just follow along, but take agency. We'll do some breath work, but if you want to breathe normally, breathe normally. If you're feeling like you want to do a breath hold in a space, do the breath hold. If you're feeling like, I just need to take a deep breath here, that is what your body needs. That is what your body needs. So we're going to use the breath, we're going to use some sound, and we're going to use a little music and some moments of being quiet, some moments of just pausing, some moments of coming into the heart. So I'm going to ask that you just put everything off of your lap and get really comfortable. And you don't have to close your eyes just yet. But again, if you feel like closing your eyes, close your eyes. If you feel like keeping your eyes open and do an open eye meditation, this is yours. Like Rhonda said in the very beginning, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this as a conduit that you can take pieces and use what works for you, and anything else that does not work, that does not serve, then it just simply means it's not yours. And maybe you just want to observe. So I'm going to ask that you just put one hand on your heart in the center of your chest, wherever that may lie, and one hand around your belly. And I'm going to ask that you just gently do a little circle. Just feel into what feels right. Where do you really want to land? And take a few deep breaths, long and deep, letting your body know you are thriving. Our short breaths, those panting breaths, that's the message of survival. The body thinks, we're in survival. These long, deep breaths let the body know you are moving into a thriving space. And whenever you are ready, on whichever exhale works for you, go ahead and close your eyes. And another nice, long, deep breath, bringing that breath from the bottom of your feet all the way through the legs, past the knees, past the thighs, up the torso, and just let out a and another good, long, deep breath with some sound healing for your soul. And as you move into allowing your breath to just take its normal pace, eyes closed, feeling into your heart, feeling into your belly, I want you to just focus on the rising and the falling of the belly. Perhaps you can actually feel your heart beating, and you can move your heart if you want to, move your hand if you want to feel the heartbeat. Focusing in on the rise and the fall of your chest. The rise and the fall of the belly, the in and the out of the exhale. The breath is in the body. The spirit is in the breath is in the body holds the breath. This is what it's like to be alive. This is what it's like to move energy. The in and the out. The out and the in. This is what it's like to be alive. And just allow the sound to bring you into balance. Hello, self. Hello, life. Who are you in the space of self, in the space of life? Taking in a deep breath, I'm going to ask you to listen to the sound of my voice, setting an intention. Hello, self. Hello, life. What is the truth that needs to be awakened in you? What is your most authentic self that you could be right now? Hello, self. Hello, life. Deep breath. And on the exhale, imagine, visualize moving into your heart space, bringing your awareness from the top of your head, moving down, coming down the eyelids, coming down from the forehead, past the nose, past the mouth, and just begin to move into the heart space. Breathing in and out, in and out, into the heart. Imagine, visualize the breath moving into the heart. Hello, self. Hello, life. What is yearning in your heart space to be awakened? What is the intention of the heart right now? What is wanting to be realized in you? Imagine, visualize, bring to your mind, who would you be if you were acting, speaking, doing in your most authentic self, your most authentic life? Step into that space right now. What do you need to release? How do you need to give way to the most authentic, truest you? What would you be doing? What would you be saying? It's here in the heart space. Allow the heart to speak. Awakening to your truth. Imagine, visualize. You are stepping into your most authentic self. And I'm going to ask you to just put her on. Put him on. Put on your most authentic self. Your new ways of being. Your new ways of thinking. That which serves you most. That which serves your highest good. And just begin to breathe with me. It is a 2-part breath. I'm going to ask you to breathe in as if the mouth were the nose, opening the mouth, comfortable and wide, and breathe in through the mouth twice and release through the mouth. You can breathe with the music. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. We're bringing in twice as much oxygen. What do you want to call in as you awaken to your truth? Do you need twice as much peace? Do you need twice as much love? Do you need twice as much joy? And on the release, let go of the stress. Double love will move more stress out. Double the peace will allow all the chaos to go out. What can you release that is keeping you from awakening to your truth? Release it in the exhale. Listening to the sound of my voice. Releasing grief. Releasing grief in the exhale. Release with a ah. Release. Bring in twice as much happiness. Twice as much laughter. And go ahead and just breathe, bringing your breath to its normal pace. Just breathe. And if you have your hand on your heart, you can just move into whatever feels most comfortable. The in and the out. The exhale and the inhale. Deep breath. And on this deep breath, I'm going to ask you to hold your breath in 3, 2, 1. Deep breath. Go ahead and hold the breath. 3, 2, 1. Holding the breath. Holding the breath. And when you are ready, release with a sound, a nice ah. And just sway and breathe. Hello, self. Hello, life. Closing your eyes, focusing in. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Make a noise. Ooh. Ah. Don't worry if you're on note or you're on key. If you're a singer, just release. Release the sound. There might be a sound that was trying to come up from your belly. Release the sound. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Noreen, I appreciate you being here so much. Our connection and how we used to be together in another community. And I don't think we really ever got to talk until just recently. Didn't even realize we were in the same community a few years ago. And when I got to see the things you're doing with your community, the people that you help, the executive leaders out there, the people that are part of just like what we're doing. I call it hashtag speaker locking arms because I directly work with speakers. You're out there with people with their business and helping with their mindset and their flow. So today I call it riffing, just like this flow. I wanted to know more about what you've been seeing out there as you're helping people take that step and get more raw and exposure for them to really open up and receive and listen to what's happening out there in the world. What have you been noticing over the past couple of years as you've been out there doing your work, my friend?
Well, there are several things. Some of the more prominent things, because I work primarily with women, after having been in the corporate world around men pretty much my entire adult life. I saw a need for women who really sought to fully express themselves in the context of their business or as leaders in organizations. And there's a lot of stuff getting in the way. And it's even more emphasized or amplified just because of the isolation we've all experienced in the last couple of years. And what happens in isolation is that our inner critic goes wild, our disconnection with our vision about why what we're doing is so important to us starts taking hold. And all these things just create chasms for us in terms of our vision of what we want to create and our ability to move forward and actually create it. So those are the primary things that I'm seeing, just a lot of women getting stuck because of these issues, and also the lack of the isolation, just not really leveraging the power of association like we're doing here, right? Being able to support each other. And thank you very much for inviting me today. And for women to be able to hear and actually connect more deeply with other people that they can align themselves with to create more momentum in their life, not only in their business, but in their life. So I hope that answered your question. Yeah, I'm not hearing you, Rhonda.
Well, I'm just speaking. Hopefully, you just feel it. You just know what I'm saying. I really appreciate what you are talking about, Noreen. And you know, through isolation, I don't know how you personally been feeling, and but I know that there's been some really big things of me stepping into hearing myself more, and sometimes even going even crazier in my four walls because of watching my kids go through their journey through high school. Is my son's last year of school, and this year, and he got to enjoy being at school. But the years before that, year and a half, he was in isolation, and just watching the teenagers and being a parent of that, and getting out there and stepping out there in the world and being able to clear some extra stressors that came in, but I found those challenges to also help me grow. So, what did you find that would be something where you were starting to notice once you started getting the people that you were working with into that space that they said, "Yeah, I got this"? Did you see that they were bouncing even bigger and really getting more closely connected with their passion, what they were doing? Or share with me, my friend.
Yeah, so absolutely, it gave people space and time, although I believe time is an illusion. It gave people space to really explore what mattered most to them, what was most important for them to be doing in the world. And the people who actually have thrived are people who recognized the importance of staying connected with other human beings. Without just obviously physically we had severe limitation with that, but people were creative in bringing people together on Zoom and creating different experiences and being able to pivot to do things that they were able to do even with the physical obstacles. And those are the people that thrive, that stayed connected with their purpose, with their vision, and with other human beings. So, I'm somebody who, people are my jam. The first thing I want to do is connect with somebody in the morning. Like, I do my own morning ritual, like you shared at the beginning. But my inclination early in the morning is to text people, to pick up the phone, connect, right? That's what brings me joy and peace in my world. It's not sitting behind a computer and starting to go through the 1,000 things that I get to do every day. So, so I did a lot of that. I did a lot of that during COVID, and my guess is that you probably did too, in the short conversations we've had recently. And actually, since you mentioned your son who's graduating, congratulations. My son ended up moving back home with us as well during COVID. He was in New York at the peak of just panic and problems up there. And he ended up coming back to home temporarily. And he immediately got connected with things to keep him occupied that were important to him, focusing on his music, re-enrolling in some classes that he was interested in taking, continuing his Japanese studies, and connecting with people all the time. And so that streak runs in the family, and I think it really saved us during COVID.
Yeah, I was noticing, Noreen, it sounds like the family was finding the dynamics that really worked and supported each other. Because that's what I was noticing. I noticed that my husband and I got closer, and we brought the family in closer, and just holding space, just breathing and holding space, because we knew as soon as we opened that door, we could just feel this this vibration that was in some ways I felt like, Noreen, I don't know if you noticed this, but I was noticing that I could feel the aggravation if the TV went on and you could start hearing about all these things that weren't working. And I love understanding, keeping up on that, because that's what helps us as leaders, to be able to know what we're dealing with. But I was also, when I step out, I was starting to notice the sky, how clear it was getting, because not everybody was out and driving. And that, to me, as a person that is in my passion and working and connecting, like what you said, you love working with people. Um, what were you noticing about that? Anything for yourself, like just what was happening out in the world and how it personally affected you and the people that you were working with? Anything in there for you about
Oh
that?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we talked about, it provided time and space for reflection and to actually be present in the moment. So although we felt that there was something really severely going on that we had no control over, there's still, as leaders, we have a huge capacity to do so much in our world, even with the limitation that existed. So being present in the moment, experiencing, I live in the middle of a huge city, and we have cardinals and bluebirds and, and we even have red-tailed hawks and things that have visited us. And when you have the space, you're actually paying attention to things that are going on that are so easy to ignore in the hustle and bustle of the world. So definitely during the pandemic, I heard that from a lot of clients as well, that just savoring the present moment was so important, because honestly, that's all we have. We can't go back, and we don't know about tomorrow, but what we have is now. And bringing our vision into now and actually taking the steps in the present moment towards something that matters to us is what really supported a lot of people to grow and build momentum during a time when there was so much that people felt were out of their control.
I love your insight, Noreen. Can we transition into me being able to hold the stage more, and you being able to share, who are the people that you're working with right now? What are the things that you are growing this year that you're finding that you are seeking? Because as we're in the Fresh Inspiration Show, I call it hashtag seekers, hashtag inspirers. And I'm noticing a lot of our people that are part of this community are people that are leaders, or they're growing their leadership and they want to know more. So I find this to be a strong question to ask. It feels right. But what
Mhm.
are you up to this year? What are you doing?
So I'm doing two primary things. One is I work with private clients and groups to really create their dynamic leaderships, build their businesses so that they're thriving, and create financial freedom. For women, this is really an important thing. But we use a lot of what I call feminine success codes, the things we're talking about here: accessing your heart, really being able to create your vision and bring your vision into the present, so that we combine the passionate with the practical to build businesses or to build positioning within organizations, so that women are really in roles and creating the professional life that they really want. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, in the groups, we're building community. I mean, it's the power of association has always been incredible, but it's even more important as we go forward into the future. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of competition, and the days of trying to figure out everything by ourselves is really over. It's not that you can't, you absolutely can, but it's slower, it's less fulfilling. And so building community where women really can personally gain in terms of their own steps and momentum that they choose to create, but also be supported and lifted up by the community and other women, is a really primary focus of mine going forward.
I love that. Where can people find you, my friend? Cheers, by the way. I have some awesome water
Thank
here
you.
today. How can people find you? Because I have tagged you so they're able to connect with you that way. Is there anything else you'd like to share with them, or anything that we can get connected with you?
Well, so what I would say to your audience is each and every one of you are truly brilliant, and that's not hyperbole. There's, what Jill led us through in terms of accessing our heart, there's only one of you. And there may be 1,000 people that do the same thing as you, but there's only one of you that does it your way. And leading your way is an incredible way to move forward, to be bold, to speak your voice, and to get your genius out in the world, because God knows this world needs it. Where people can find me is my website is noreenhoward.com. And I also have, if they want to go to a page called curatingwealth.com, curatingwealth.com. That's a way that they can actually get a handout about wealth. That this one is particularly with financial wealth, but we talk about wealth in our groups in all aspects of our lives, and that's a way that they can hear more from me if you're interested in hearing more things as we go forward.
Beautiful, my friend. I so appreciate you being here and answering those questions about stuff that you answered them very well, my friend. Being able to feel about like what wealth really means, when you're talking about the overall vision of what wealth is. We need to talk about that more.
Yes.
I think so, Noreen. It's like, because I think sometimes that people start judging what certain words are and like what they're accepting and things like that. And I feel like, man, we need to rewrite some of the Webster dictionary stuff, that where we just like start exiting out of conversation because we think that word is bad. putting our own
Right,
definition.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I'm into writing I think my next book needs to be writing every word that I feel like that used to have like a negative masculine sense, because I love masculine, feminine, and playing with that, and like saying, hey, what does failure mean to you, and like making it like feel like so positive,
Yeah, because we learn from each other. And I don't profess to be a guru. That's not why I'm here. I'm a facilitator. I'm a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge, but it's really about hearing from you. Like you said at the beginning, which was beautiful. It's not about us. It's really about supporting each other. And that's what each person gets to do in a way that's truly right for them. So anyway, thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate the time with you and your audience.
One last question for you. When I'm talking about like leading with the heart, and this being like a heart kind of a show, because we speak so much about the heart, we're going to be doing that today. What does that feel like for you when you start going into your heart and just feeling it? Like, is there any way that you explain that, or for yourself, or like how important it is for you? Because you brought it up about the heart, but anything
Yeah.
else you want to add as you're exiting?
So when I think about accessing my heart, it's about becoming true to myself. I'm very much in the work I do about combining the heart with practical measures. I don't believe things just, at least not in my life, things don't just drop in our laps. We have an intention and we move toward the intention, and that's how we get the results we want. But accessing our heart is actually acknowledging who we are, what matters to us, so that what we are doing, who we are being, is the type of person we choose to be: authentic, courageous, passionate, inspiring, whatever your words are that are really meaningful to you, and that we take action that aligns with that. So that's what I meant about the heart being at the core. That's how we want to move. We want to align with who we are, not who somebody else is telling us to be or what we think we should be. So I hope that's clear. And
It's powerful. It really is. And
and it is powerful. It is powerful.
Because the heart is wise. Like things move faster. I feel like that's where we bend time.
Yeah.
That's where we quantum leap. That's because our brain doesn't get in the way, but our brain gets to partner and bring in all those years experience. But the heart just says, hey, go for it.
Yeah. The heart is our light, really. It's our light.
Yeah.
Right. So what lights us up there is what we're going to be best at in the world.
With that, I appreciate your time with us. You did fabulous, my friend. And if you hang out,
Thank you,
enjoy.
Rhonda.
I would love for you to be here, but this is fabulous, and I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you. Love you, my friend.
Be well. Love you too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is our first hour. We're exiting out of our 1 hour together of doing our opening ceremony. Okay, I think we nailed it. I think we got some good stories in there. We got the Jill Flowers, who was using her vocals, her bowls, and I could feel that. And she was focused in for us on what's going to serve us. How do you feel? How do you feel about like saying hello? And so and Noreen spoke about the noise out there and the competition, but she didn't focus in on that, because that is such a limiting space when you get, kind of like in that spot, but that is such truth. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that? I mean, do we really go and chase all the numbers to get us moving forward, and feel like we need to like look at every stat and have this team to be able to elevate everything, and we want thousands of this and hundreds of that? But what if I said that there's such a thing, which I 100%, this is how I coach too, is I'm bringing in Lorenzo Payman. I know in my heart that when there's a video out there that I do, when there is a post I put, when there is someone I'm calling to connect, all of that is truth in business. It's not I'm going to call this old school, by the way, because a lot of us are still doing this kind of stuff where you're chasing those numbers and knowing how long you should be on a live video, knowing how long your video should be, and you're following rules. But as I bring Lorenzo in, I'm going to partner with him in what his vision is about what he's going to be speaking today, which is easy organic reach with the heart. Hello, self. And the hello, self is let's talk about that. Getting to know you. Just what we did in the opening ceremony, did you start noticing that you are starting to get to know you? That everything that you are feeling in flow, that's you, that you're answering that question right there. There doesn't have to be words that say, this is my name and this defines who I am. But every feeling and every word that comes to you is about that. You, getting to know you. Lorenzo, what do you think about that stuff I'm talking about?
Hello, Randa. Hello, Noreen. Hello, everyone watching. Thank you for having me. I am a billion percent with you on that. Absolutely. This is what my entire motto, and not just business, but and everything I do. This is what I base everything around. It's about connection, about coming and being aligned.
Lorenzo, let's start first with you work with leaders with a heart, and I know it's your
Yes.
podcast. You're getting ready to do a book, and you're seeking people who want to be part of that book. This is so fabulous because you're an international best-selling author. So I know we're going to get to that at some point. I'm believing.
Thank you.
What does it feel for you when we start talking about what you do, leaders up with heart? What is all that
Leaders with a heart.
with a heart?
Yes. So what I do basically, my podcast is I see it as bigger than a podcast. My vision is to create to build a platform and a global movement of where I am going to be bringing in and inviting entrepreneurs that are building impactful businesses with a cause, with a purpose, with a mission, so that together we can, for example, when you came on my podcast, when I bring anyone on my podcast, it's one thing for me and them to have a wonderful conversation, but the ultimate goal, the bigger goal is for us, through you and other guests sharing their story, they're powerful, they're impactful, the goosebump inducing story. The goal is to inspire, even if we can inspire just one entrepreneur to do good with their business and help someone else, and then that person goes on to help someone else, and so on and so forth, then together we can create a ripple global effect that's going to change the frequency, vibration, and energy of this planet. So that's my ultimate vision. My podcast, I see it not just as a podcast, I see it much bigger. As I said, a platform and a global movement. And so far, since I started this journey 18 months ago, it's been one of the greatest things I've done in my life. By far, the best business decision I've ever done was to start my podcast, and I've connected with over 200 amazing, phenomenal leaders with a heart. I just reached episode 200 just a week ago, and I'm beyond blessed because this has been an incredible blessing for me and for what I do. It's connected me to to incredible people, and you know what? I'm only getting warmed up, so it's fun.
More
Because
love
my
is
vision,
more
even though I
energy.
just reached 200, my vision is 2 million episodes. So that's my goal to reach in my lifetime. If God blesses me with the health and the time and the wisdom, my goal is to reach 2 million, episodes. So through that, even if I were to reach just one person per episode, if I can help 2 million people in my lifetime, then my mission has been successful.
Lorenzo, have you always understood like the heart sensor was more of a transformation before you got there? What's your background in the heart area?
Actually, even though, as I keep saying all the time, and I realized that I was never religious, but I always believed in God. I've had a spiritual awakening since the start of the pandemic. But even growing up, even as far as I can remember, I've always was very hard driven. Even I remember when my parents were to take me to kindergarten. If there was a kid beside me that didn't have a toy, or even when my parents were bringing me some what do you call it? What's the word in English? Some snacks, for example. Sorry, English is my fourth language, so sometimes I have to look for names. So even when my parents were bringing me snacks or whatever at school, if the kid beside me didn't have anything, I wouldn't think twice, just sharing it with them, or even sometimes just giving it outright. I've been growing up, I was very spoiled. My father was a geologist, archaeologist, who was always around the world working on amazing, locations, bringing me amazing gifts. And I would think nothing about not just sharing my gifts, the present my father was bringing me with a neighbor's kid or whatever. I would even a lot of time just let them have it, because I was always a giver, a helper, from as far as I can remember. And that was one of the most powerful, I would say, values that both my parents have instilled, not just in me, but in all of us, my siblings and my family, because even my parents were extremely big givers, extremely heart-centered individuals.
I love that you're talking about just like legacy of what your parents, set up in this world. And it must be a generational thing too, of really
Oh,
being
yes.
able to connect with that heart. And I feel it too, because when I was on your podcast, everybody at the Fresh Inspiration Show, Noreen, you check out Lorenzo. He has a big thing where you want millions of shows out there. So if you are leading with the heart, you want to definitely connect with him. When all is one, and that's what it is. Everything that tethers off how you get to freedom, safety, and healing is all the work that you want to do to bring you into love, truth, and being able to be there for yourself and say, yes, I got this. My friends, this is the last part of Rondaloo Moxie. I hope you are enjoying me, enjoying her, enjoying this space. Start thinking about, what is your morning routine? What's your afternoon routine? What are you going to work with to be able to balance both sides so that you can start seeing the importance of what you're doing? You can start seeing your passion. You can start feeling that love. You learn to receive in a new way that maybe you never thought that you could. How can you quantum leap you as a vitality coach, as Rondaloo Moxie, right here, right in front of you, sharing this stuff? What do you want to do? If you could quantum leap, where would that take you? I don't know, because if I could quantum leap right now, it's something I couldn't fathom, because the brain all of a sudden steps aside. When that brain steps aside and you allow things to be, whoosh, let it go, let it go, let it go. Magical things happen. And you don't have to know what the result is, because you are just as curious as the process itself. Why control? Why say to people, this is the way things have to be? Why live in life living other people's rules? If it feels good, then you know you're here. You know you're in your serving space. That's when you get to block out the naysayers. You're going to quantum leap business. You're going to quantum leap your health. Things are going to start healing in ways that you thought couldn't possibly happen. But for some reason, how am I able to be off of thyroid medicine for 5 years and still be living? 20 years on medicine, knowing I had to take that little pill every freaking day. I've been working out since I was 14. Is working out the only thing that's going to keep me in this flow of the 5 years of being off of medicine? No.
Because I discovered that, first of all, the most important thing you can have when healing is a guide, somebody to help you through it. Because you're very, very good at protecting yourself. That is your subconscious brain's purpose, is to protect you. And so you put all of these barriers in place, and then you think, okay, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try to heal myself, but you can't, because you can't get past those barriers. But when you work with a coach or a guide, they don't have those barriers. They're your barriers, and they can kind of walk around them and find new ways to get in there so that you can heal. So along the way, I developed a program which is called Roar to Win. And that's what that's the title of the TEDx talk that I gave in Wilmington, Delaware in 2018. And that's what Rhonda was making reference to about roaring. It's ROAR, to win. That's an acronym, which means resilience, optimism, accountability, and resourcefulness. And so how does that help you? What does that help? I mean, sure, everybody wants to, we talk about resilience. It's one of those words that we toss around all the time, but what exactly does that mean? Well, I want you to just kind of practice this, and it may sound really weird, and it is kind of weird, but it really is fun. Is where you just kind of, put your shoulders back, because as Rhonda said, we kind of roll forward to protect ourselves, because this is where our heart lives. And so we want to protect our heart. So we put as much barrier between us and the world as we possibly can. That's going to cause some problems for you health-wise as well, because as Dr. Bessel van der Kolk says, that the body keeps the score. That's the title of his book. And when you adopt certain postures or take certain things into your body, then you're going to end up having a problem health-wise. So everything emotional is going to show up in your body health-wise. You need to deal with yourself as a whole ecosystem. If you throw a pill at it, that is not going to fix it. You need to actually deal with the emotions, because you cannot heal what you will not feel. You have to feel the feelings. So this roar thing is where you take your shoulders, you put them back, and you actually from your belly bring up this roar, which I'm not going to do because it would be too loud. But it's basically, if you take your arms like this, it also helps expand your chest. And you just kind of put your arms up and you just roar as loud as you possibly can. And it's amazing, even that little bit. Yes, thank you, Rhonda. This way that I did it just now gave me goosebumps, because it moves the energy through you. It changes the energy. So it's a power position to be able to put yourself in. So do that. You've got a meeting that you have to go to, something that maybe you're feeling a little bit intimidated by. Do this as an exercise. Just put your shoulders back, put your arms up, and roar from your belly, not in your throat, from your belly, and just roar like you're a lion. And it's amazing how that will change your energy, the way you feel. Now, I'm an energy therapist. I help people move the energy through their bodies. Why do I do that? Because when we have a trauma, it gets trapped in our body, and it's, it can end up being like the shape of a grapefruit. It can be some large lump. So have you ever tried to talk to somebody and you can't, because you feel like you've got a grapefruit in your throat right there? That is trapped energy, which is usually an emotional thing. It's usually, so the throat is the area where you speak your truth. And if you are having difficulty speaking to somebody, or you're having difficulty saying something, it's because you're not speaking your truth. Some part of your experience in life, you're not telling people what your truth is. You're not standing up. Maybe you're saying, oh, I'd love to do that for you, when the back of your head is going, oh, another thing I have to take on. I just don't have the time or the energy to do this. But what comes out of your mouth is, oh, sure, I'd love to do that. And so you're not being honest with yourself or anybody else. And your truth is stuck in your throat. That's one of the reasons we have that. When you go through a trauma, one of the first things that happens is you end up with gut issues. You end up with your hormones will just totally go off the charts, totally wacky, because you're not dealing with the emotional stuff that's going on. And so that's really important. So why do I talk about roar? Well, these are 4 steps that I have discovered will make all the difference in the world to how your life goes. And the first one is resilience. Well, we think of resilience as the capacity to bounce back from something. When we've had something that's been traumatic that's happened in our lives, we think, okay, resilience means that I can get back up and dust myself off and keep going. That's only part of it. And I'll talk more about that because that's the part that has to do with the heart. And the second part is the O, optimism. If you face your day with, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to me today, or it's something like, nothing ever goes well for me, or life doesn't have to be this hard. Why is life always this hard? If we're always talking about these negative things, that's not optimistic. And it really, what goes around comes around. You throw out negativity, it's going to come back to you. And that is a fact of the universe. It really truly works that way. You get what you're looking for. And so if you're looking for, which is a natural thing, it's natural for us to look for the negative because that's how we have survived as a species for all of these, eons, is because we step out the door and we look for all the things that might kill us. We're looking for all the danger out there. You have to train yourself to look for good things. So maybe you step out and the first thing you think is like, oh no, is there a car coming? Am I going to get run over? Is there wildfire today? Because you can see I've got lots of trees back there. Or what's going to be dangerous for me today? Instead of thinking that way, believe that the world or the universe is out to do you good. Not you're out to get screwed, but the universe is out to do you good. And that's a shift in your belief system. When you believe that everything is conspiring together for your good. Everything is trying to put it so that it lines up perfectly so that it will be good for you. If you can believe that, that makes a tremendous difference. And then there's the A, which is accountability. And accountability is a really hard one for a lot of people. For a long time, it was hard for me too, because it was so much more fun, so much easier to blame everybody else for whatever was wrong in my life. It's like, well, I'm acting this way because my parents did this, or I can't do that because somebody else is not allowing me to, or, I can't go for that job because, so can't is a powerless word. It's a victim word, can't, because that's not true. You can do anything that you want to do. And you always have more options than you think you have. But the thing is, it's whether or not those options are acceptable to you. And this is something that my mentor, Jack Canfield, who I have worked with for 9 years now. One of the things that he worked with me personally with, because at the time I was taking care of my mother and she had Alzheimer's, and I didn't have a really good relationship with her anyway. And so I was just feeling this overwhelming burden of caring for her. And I was talking to Jack and he said, well, then don't take care of her. And I go, well, I have to take care of her. I have to. I can't, what am I going to do? Am I going to just ignore her? I have to do this. So there's the compulsion of feeling that I have no choice. I have to. And when we get to the point where we feel like we have no choice in a matter, then that makes us powerless. We can't find a way out because we're being compelled or forced or whatever to do this thing. And so he said, no, you don't. And I go, yeah, if I don't take care of her, who's going to take care of her? He said, okay, go to the bank and set up a trust fund for her and have them disperse enough money each month to care for her needs. And I'm going, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I had no idea that I could do that. And all of a sudden, then I felt free because I didn't have to take care of my mother. I was choosing to take care of my mother because this other option was not acceptable to me. And so when you look at your choices, you go, I can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can. As I could step out of an airplane without well, even with a parachute, I'm not sure I would. I could do that. I could step out of an airplane without a parachute if I wanted to. I won't do that. It's not that I can't do it, it's that I won't do it. So when you have the accountability, whether you will do something or you won't do something, and you accept that you've chosen to treat somebody this way, it's not when you say, I did it because, that is not true. And that is a statement that gives your power away, and it's a lie. You didn't do it because somebody else did something. So it could be, well, I treated you that way because you. That's even worse. So it could be, I did that thing because everybody else was doing it, and I felt social pressure, and so I had to go do it. I didn't have a choice. Yeah, you did. You had a choice. But it's when you get to the point of where I did it because I cheated on you because you were cranky with me. It's like, what? Accept 100% responsibility for your beliefs, for your behaviors, and for your thoughts. And those are the only things that you can control. You can't control anybody else's beliefs. You can't control anybody else's behaviors, and you can't control anybody else's thoughts. You can only control yours. So that's what you accept 100% responsibility for. That's where your power is. That's how you get to the opportunity to design your life, to choose what you want to do with it, to decide whether or not you want to continue sitting in a puddle and being really cranky for the rest of your life, or if you want to say, hey, this isn't who I am, and this is not how I want to be remembered, and I want to make something out of my life, and you move on. So a little bit to look about this is I went through a betrayal that totally destroyed my life. I've never been, I mean, like I told you, my childhood was not fun. And I thought that I had gone through everything that I could possibly go through, but I was married to someone for almost 25 years that I absolutely adored and thought walked on water. And I thought we had the best relationship, and everybody else thought we had the best relationship, but he betrayed me. And that wiped me out. I was just totally destroyed after that. I had just written a book, which is an international bestseller, called Suffering is Optional, Step Out of Darkness into the Light. I'd just written that book and dedicated that book to my husband, who was so incredibly helpful and everything else, and 5 months later betrayed me. That's the one thing about my book. When I look it up, when I open it up, it's like, I wish you had known, but I didn't. So when, I really struggled with that. And it was during the aftermath of that betrayal when I was scraping the bottom of the barrel. I was discovering that there was a basement to the lower level of, rock bottom. There's a basement down there. It was not a fun place for me to be. During that time, I created this program. During that time, I gave my TEDx talk. So I'm standing on stage giving this talk about resilience, optimism, accountability, and resourcefulness when my heart was broken into 7 zillion pieces. But I knew that I was the only one that could heal me, and I was the only one who could move on with my life. And so that's what I did. The last one is resourcefulness. Again, believe that the universe is out to do you good. And when you do that, there's something called the reticular activating system. It's part of everybody. We all have it. It's where you focus on something that you want, a direction that you want to go, and your brain starts looking for it. Starts looking for opportunities. So remember that car that you wanted to buy, or maybe a dress or a pair of slacks or something like that. You thought it was unique. You thought it was wonderful. You went out and you bought it. You go and you're out in public, and guess what? There's 5 other people wearing the same thing, because now you're aware of it. So it's the brain that gets what you focus on. If you focus on pain and all the things that you, quote, can't do, and how your life is miserable and it will never get any better for you, if that's what you focus on, that's what you're going to get, because the brain is going, oh, she wants more pain. Okay, let's go get more pain. And that's what you end up with. So focus on a good thing that you want, like a loving relationship, like somebody who honors you, who is respectful, who is is honest, who will accept 100% responsibility for their own behaviors.
Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. Some great questions we had throughout the day from our community. We were going live on Be Connected and also Facebook. We're going to go out to podcast in a month. All the stars that you saw today, they're going to be re-invited back in so they can come in and when the podcast gets released. So I can't wait to hear from everybody to see who's going to be here in a month. We're going to be releasing that. And then we're also going to be going to YouTube. We're going to be going to Roku TV. And then we're also going to be going to TikTok. You're going to see everybody who's on here. My editor is going to pull the best, and we're going to have 1 to 2 minutes of TikTok sizzles from everybody. So I love you. Keep reaching for what you're reaching for in your passion. We are here, the Fresh Inspiration Show, for you. I appreciate you so much. Love you. Have a fabulous day. Thank you for being with us.
Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration.